Why can't we have universal health care like every other first world country? Why can't we take care of our veterans when they come home? Why are we funding endless wars and bombing children? Why are CEOs more powerful than unions? We fought 3 different wars since the last time we raised the minimum wage.
Listen, I totally understand why a lot of people see a swagged out white boy geared up looking like a grunt force tier 1 operator and immediately think of John Fetty Wapman. We've been burned before. As far as his platform goes, like, I mean, he's actively speaking out about this stuff too. Like, I mean, look, Graham Platner to Prem Tucker on Zateo said there's a genocide that is occurring in Gaza, and at some point in the not so distant future, we are all going to be looking around and realizing that we failed the ultimate moral test of our time. Overview. America's entered a new Gilded Age. We have a government of, by, and for billionaires. We have direct consequence of disastrous court decisions capped by Citizens United that have allowed billionaires to buy elections. As a result, they have built a billionaire economy, one that creates explosive growth for a tiny privileged few, for a handful of billionaires and multinational corporations, and inflation, stagnation, and decline for the rest of us. In 1990, there were 66 billionaires in America. Today, there are over 900. When you look around, do you see a community that is over 10 times wealthier than 1990? So here's the thing. In order to put together a coherent political campaign, you need to talk about what you stand for. You need to talk about who you want to defend. And more importantly, perhaps, you need to talk about who you despise and who you oppose. Targeting billionaires who are unimaginably powerful figures, but their numbers are minuscule, is good. You need to position yourself against villains. Democrats don't do that. They want to suck up to the billionaires, and so they look like they're phony. We must pass a billionaire minimum pass a billionaire minimum tax, establishing a baseline tax that rate the super rich cannot go under. It's policy extremely popular, but too often we have elections between multiple candidates who refuse to support it. I like that. Uphold tribal sovereignty and self-determination. God damn, that's woke as that's cool. But yeah, I will be going and interviewing him and stuff and getting a better making a better assessment in the future. Yeah, so like I've said, I'm excited. I'm excited about our boy here. Okay. I'm excited about our boy Graham Platner. There are some things that, give me a little bit of pause, obviously. But I'm not going to let that get in the way. Like I said, what matters to me is who you are now and not what you've done in the past. And the reason why I say that is because, like, when you look at a guy who's done multiple tours, there's going to be a record filled to the brim with blemishes, okay? Not good blemishes either, like some big ones. His platform looks good, but the platform doesn't necessarily show the entire story. You know what I mean? You got to look at the platform. You got to look at what he's currently saying. You got to look at what he said in the past. Overall, he seems like a significantly far better candidate than one we've seen so far from the Democratic Party's new crop of talent. DSA guy. In the past, he had the high school photo that he posted, his high school yearbook photo that he posted, where it literally says like free Kosovo, free Kurdistan, and free Palestine in 1995. So that's like, as I said already, that is the most worked up white boy. Of course, what gives you pause about him? Multiple tours, including, I believe, potentially a Blackwater, or I don't even know if it was Blackwater, but like he did some PMC work. So that immediately worries me a little bit. That worries me for sure. But like, if you think that's like, if you think that in and of itself is like indicative of him like being a federal agent or whatever, no. I don't think the American government is working on disrupting leftist movements in this country because they've already had tremendous success overall. Why would they fucking actively try to disrupt the left when we're doing it to ourselves anyway? It's too soon to tell. This is why former vets give pause. Look at this dumb fuck. I mean, that's Amy McGrath. Amy McGrath is not comparable to this guy. Amy McGrath was like laboratory-built, third-way neoliberal Democrat that was the exact worst kind of Democrat. This guy is not a normal Democrat at all. This is like our side. This is left flank, okay? This is a left flank candidate. Very, very different. But of course, when I see combat veteran Marines in the Army, immediately I'm like, Has said his work with Blackwater made him disillusioned with the MIC and wasting taxpayer money on unaccountable contractors. Definitely good to ask him about it, though. No, for sure. The Democratic Party has never shied away from pushing these like lab-made neoliberal conservative Democrats in every fucking state, whether it be like deep blue districts, whether it be red districts, even if they lose over and over again, which they do. They consistently lose. And they still push these guys. They think like, oh, well, the optics of like a person, the optics of a person being in the Navy or being in the military, being in the Air Force is like enough to make these patriots vote for the Democrat. And it's like so stupid because that's not what patriotism is, especially in the United States of America. I'm sorry. Ain't nobody gives a fuck about anybody's vet status beyond just saying, oh, thank you for your service. That's it. Look at the way we treat veterans in this goddamn country. No one cares, okay? No one fucking cares. There's no better example of this than the way Donald Trump has shit all over John McCain, a prisoner of war, right? Like he said, I like my war heroes who weren't captured. Like anyone, okay? Look at the VA. Look at the way people treat veterans in general. If you want to understand the way that Americans give a shit, the way that the American government gives a fuck about veterans, look no further than like all of the homeless people in DC. How many of them are veterans? Okay? How many of them are veterans? We don't care. We want to pack them up with the current existing active military. That's wrong. Vets care about vets. Vet orgs are amazing. No, but I'm talking about the government. I'm not talking about dudes that are veterans themselves. I'm talking about the freaking government. All right. My brother's a Navy vet and he has to pay $5 monthly for a stupid vet coupon book. Yeah, they do thoughts and prayers for everything, dude. It's so goddamn annoying. We do care. That's why we have to pretend we don't know they're vets. Oh, okay. Yeah. Didn't they make active duty sleep on the floor to protect federal buildings during the ICE protest? Yeah, I mean that was kind of funny. But anyway, the whole point is, wait, what is this? Grace Spellman, writer, screenwriter, professional music discusser. Awesome moment today seeing this tweet and thinking, wow, that looks like my cousin Graham from Maine, who I haven't seen in forever. And then 2 seconds later being like, wait, I just wish all the dead commie relatives on that side of the family could see this / haunt Susan Collins on his behalf. So he comes from a commie family. I mean, that kind of makes sense if he's like literally putting up a most likely to start a revolution in his high school yearbook. It says most likely to start a revolution, and he's pulling up a Free Palestine placard. It kind of makes sense. Why the fuck did he join the army then? Dude, I don't know when or how I can explain this to people. I don't know if it's like middle class or upper middle class background people that like simply don't understand this, but and I'm not saying this to just like excuse the American military's behavior, by no means, but it is one, especially for his age group, probably post 9/11 fervor, okay? And beyond that, there's an active initiative to recruit as many people as possible within the poverty draft structure that exists already. It's upwards mobility. It's like giving you European social democracy style amenities that should not be amenities at all. I don't know what his personal story is, but it's a job program. It's a jobs program. The problem is, of course, what that job is. The problem, of course, is the output, right? The output of like the American military is just like complete dominance of the third world, complete dominance of the global South. So the reality is a lot of Americans were hopped up on crazy amounts of patriotism post 9/11. Like the only reason why I don't have that kind of attitude is because, I'm Turkish. Like I was in Turkey when it was happening. So I was on the other side of the fucking equation. But like, I know that most Americans that are my age, they weren't woke at all about fucking Muslims or whatever. They were absolutely brain broken by 9/11. They were just like, we have to kill every Muslim on the planet. And that animosity clearly has not gone away. There's like, it's still something that I have to fight on a daily basis, right? It's nowhere near as like The fervor is nowhere near as bad as it was that led to tremendous amounts of military recruitment in the aftermath of 9/11. But it was some crazy shit. Like even like Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which seemingly was a moment where like a lot of American society got together and were like, oh, we have to defend Ukraine or whatever. And then there was like a lot of media initiatives to push for this as well. And that doesn't come anywhere near, I think, the environment post 9/11, the environment in the immediate aftermath of 9/11 and the years that carried on after 9/11, where people were just like hopped up. They were just looking to do hate crimes. But there are definitely a lot of, there's active duty people in here. I don't understand how. I always jokingly say, like, there are a shit ton of military active duty people in this community who just agree with me 1-to-1. And I don't know how they like compartmentalize it in their brains. But then there's also a shit ton of veterans in here, which makes a lot more sense. You've done the service and you fucking hated it. And now you're like a left flank vet. That's one thing. I always jokingly say, like, probably the one group of people that don't actually watch me, it is community census day, so we can figure it out, is probably cops. Outside of cops, like, I suspect that like every facet of American existence has, Hasanabi has, in places that you would least expect. I mean, there's like finance bros in here, which is crazy, but it's so different because 9/11 and the internet didn't really exist. So everyone was still fully in the fold of State Department propaganda. 9/11 took place in a time when the mindset was far more like the 60s and 80s than the mindset today. I agree with you. Yes. I agree with you. There's definitely a few cops that watch you, but like transit police type cops, maybe like European cops. You got some in the IC. I mean, there's hella members of the intelligence community that are in here. Some are in here because they're fans, and others that are in here because that's their job. So there's definitely a lot of people in here from that background, from that community, for sure. Okay, for sure. It is different for leftists, I guess, to be more lenient with American war machine people compared to the IDF. Yes. But even then, this is like a big point of contention with me and like some other people. But like, I don't give a shit what people have done in the past, as long as they are atoning for it, is always going to be my advocacy, because I believe in rehabilitation first and foremost. But then outside of being a firm and committed believer in rehabilitation, I also feel like there's an air of hypocrisy if we were to just like act as though people are not consistently victim to their social conditioning. That leads them to do horrifyingly violent things without even recognizing the violence that it's bringing about. So as long as someone actually breaks through that in the process of engaging in these sorts of actions, and then actively works to atone for those things, and actively works against the systems that are contributing to further violence, then you're good. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. It's a firm commitment that I have. This is a principled stance that I've always had.